Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. I'm going to show you how to configure ESET Smart Security. Now I'm sorry if this is only in English. I don't know many languages, so I apologize in advance. However, I do believe that the buttons and stuff will be in the same area. If not, if you know both English and your native language, of course you don't know your native language, you can probably translate and figure out what it is based off of this video. So over here. So we're gonna go to advanced setup. So this is our little screen here, and we have like a million options, so I usually like just to open them all up. Alright, we're nearly done there. So here we are, antivirus and anti-spyware. This might bring up some false positives, but I usually enable it, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so we're here, there's a lot of different options here. This stuff is usually okay. However, you do want to change the threat sense engine parameter setup, and you'll notice this on some of the other options as well. We also do want to scan runtime backwards, so we're going to select yes. And this really doesn't have much of a performance hit if you do that anyways. But if you have a super old system with practically no memory, I guess it could become an issue, but in my experience it hasn't. So you want to enable advanced heuristics, DNA, smart signatures, cleaning, extensions. Alright, log all objects. Select yes. Okay, now go down to advanced setup. Alright, that's good. Alright, so this is the on-demand computer scan. So if you go over here and you just click scan, that's basically what it is. So we're going to set it up. So I'm going to we'll switch it to in-depth scan. We're going to hit setup. Alright, we're going to log all objects. We're going to enable smart optimization, and we're going to preserve last access timestamp. This will just help a lot with file organization, so I'm going to over here, and that's fine. Options, objects. We're also going to select email files because usually that's disabled, and if I was a hacker, I possibly could try to exploit that if I really wanted to. Scan targets. We're just going to select it all here, including all the optional drives you have. I'm going to go to document protection. Sorry, I have a little bit of allergies right now. If you want, you can integrate it into system. I don't always do this, but I guess it's a good thing to do, and I especially like to do this on systems I've just set up and fresh installs of Windows, that kind of thing. But I'm kind of debating whether or not I want to set it up for my PC right now. But, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. Let's do it. Alright, log all objects. So, startup scan. This basically scans your computer as you start up. So we're gonna go setup, log all objects. That stuff is all good there. Idle state scanning. Alright, I like idle state scanning. This concept I absolutely love. Basically what it does is it scans your computer whenever it idles or whenever it's not really being used very much. So we're going to enable idle state scanning. If you are using a desktop, you can check this. And you also definitely want to check enable logging. Enable all this. Go to options, cleaning, everything's good here. I'll log all objects, enable smart optimization, and preserve last access timestamp. You're going to select yes. Alright, we'll go up here. It's back to where we were. Exclusions, that's all okay. Actually, we can add an exclusion, but never mind, we'll do that later. So whenever you stick a USB device into your computer, what you usually want to do is you want to automatically scan it. There's options, so I usually select show scan options, and you can select to disconnect it and all that stuff, but automatic device scan is probably the best thing you can do, so I recommend selecting it. You're going to want to integrate device control into the system. Alright, do not ask again. Okay, configure rules. Configure rules if you wish, we're not going to do that right now. So host intrusion prevention system. So let's say a hacker wants to gain access to your computer remotely. This can help defend you against it. That's one of the features I like to use. So automatic, if you want you can configure the rules. We don't really have a whole lot of a need to do that right now, so we're not going to worry about that. We're just configuring the base settings for most normal users. If you have no idea how to do this, then it's probably best that you don't. So advanced setup, log all blocked operations, notify when changes occur in startup applications. That's usually selected, but I'm thinking I'm gonna actually disable that right now because it'll get logged anyways, because a lot of the times whenever an application is doing something, even when you save a file, it'll say something will pop up there, and it does tend to get annoying the odd time. So we're going to enable gamer mode when running applications in full screen mode automatically. Alright. So down to our network section. Personal firewall, and that's okay. A trusted zone is a group of computers to which this computer is visible. An example of a trusted zone is a home office or network. Do not display dialog with trusted zone settings when changes and the network adapter settings are detected. Alright, you don't need to worry about that. I guess you could, but whatever. Information displayed in the rule editor, full path. Rules to display all. IDS. This is the intrusion detection system. Sometimes they have false positives, sometimes not, and we're not going to enable everything that we need to, but we're just going to enable a few options. I do like to enable this. Only the one thing that really annoys the heck out of me is that ESET pops up and says, oh, please disable it, otherwise it'll use a lot of space. Please disable it, otherwise it'll use a lot of space. So if you're on a system with a small hard drive and a low amount of memory, don't enable that. However, it is very useful, very, very, very useful for whenever you're troubleshooting. So we're going to log this all. Alright. So we're going to enable covert data in ICMP protocol detection. I'm going to go back up to here. Alright, allow file and printer sharing in a trusted zone. I have no network printers and I don't have a whole lot of networked hard drives. Actually, I have none. I was thinking of getting one later on, but I'm going to disable this. Should not leave it on. Allow incoming RPC communication in trusted zone. Allow remote desktop in trusted zone. You will want to disable this as well, especially if you're living in an apartment building or in a city where people could potentially access your system. Alright, that's fine. We're not going to enable this. If you have a bridge connection, you can enable it, but if you don't, then you know. So we're going to select DNS poisoning attack detection. So if you have this attack, what I suggest you do is you go control panel, going to the right place, I think. I cannot remember. I can never remember anything ever. So change adapter settings, properties, and then you go down here to Internet Protocol version 4, properties, and then you toss in OpenDNS addresses. You can just get it from the OpenDNS website. and you set to use the following DNS server addresses, and I find that usually mitigates this situation. Also, what I suggest doing is opening up CMD, typing in ipconfig /flush DNS CLS. Alright. Sorry, my mic is kind of in a weird position and it's kind of difficult. If you wish, you can go through this, but well, I'm not going to enable anything else. You can add an exception to the IDS systems, but I'm not going to. You can enable application modification detection, so let's say a virus wants to change something, this will notify you of it. So the options are detect modification of network aware applications, enable detection of application modifications, allow modification of signed trusted applications. That is okay. System integration. Here you can adjust the level of personal firewall integration within the operating system. The personal firewall provides complete protection only with this option set to all features active, and it is set to all features active, so we are good. Connection view. So we're going to select resolve host names. We're going to disable only show TCP protocol connections, so TCP protocol connections, just to be clear, will still show up. Just we want everything else to show up as well. So show connections with open ports on which computer is listening. Also show connections within the computer, so we're going to enable that. So we're down to web and email. If you don't have an email application like, I think of one, Outlook. There's a couple others, I cannot remember them all, but I would highly recommend against using them, honestly, but I still enable it, and I still log all objects and stuff like that in case something does happen. Usually they're disabled or severely crippled when it comes to scanning. Alright. It's fine. Alright, anti-spam protection. Allow advanced anti-spam scan. Allow global addresses list. And I'm gonna disable that. Web access protection. Threat sense engine parameter setup. This is especially important. Alright, options, cleaning, extensions, limits, log all objects. If you wish for cleaning, if you, for example, don't trust your kid, you can do this. But I'm going to leave it. You should trust your kid, but I mean, if you don't trust them not to get malware by accident, then you know what I mean. URL address management. Using URL addresses as maskless, you can specify which addresses will be blocked, allowed, or excluded from checking. Particular lists are grouped by type. What? That's fine. If you wish, you can add a list of places you wish blocked, but actually I think I might make another video on that later. It's interesting. So protocol filtering. If you wish, you can exclude certain applications. For example, if you have a game that might not work properly, I guess you could exclude it. I don't really see anything pop up there, but I guess I can add an IPv4 address later. Alright, so Ssl Protocol Checking. Ssl is basically an encryption method. Not the greatest one. mind you, but still one. SSL protocol filtering mode, you want to always scan an SSL protocol. No, I'm not going to enable that. That could cause some issues. So certificates, you have options here. I'm not going to change them because sometimes there is invalid certificates. And I believe that, what is it? Process Explorer is actually, no. Never mind, I saved into another drive. Actually, the NVIDIA drivers have invalid certificates more than often that I found. So, makes you think what else does, and I don't want to deny something access to my PC just because of invalid certificates. So you can integrate parental control. I will tell you this. Ignore it. Just completely ignore it. If you cannot trust your kids, then there's a bigger issue at hand. You need to look at the root of the cause. The computer isn't the issue. If you need to talk to your kids about it, alright? And you also need to learn that you need to be able to trust them eventually. And if you can't trust your kids to use the computer properly, then what else can you trust them to use something properly? Well, what else can you trust them to do properly? So there's some trust issues, and I think that you really do need to speak to your kids about it, about internet safety and what they can and cannot do, because that's a whole lot better than just blocking them out and shielding, because they're not going to know when they get older what's safe and what isn't for the internet, and they're going to have to learn a lot of stuff once they get in, and basically it's just not a very good idea. So you have your options here. I'm not going to bother about that. Alright, advanced update setup, you have options here. You can set up a proxy. We're going to increase this to 22 log files. Minimum logging verbosity, you want this to diagnostic. ESET Live Grid. I usually participate in ESET Live Grid just because it can help you set out with any malware. Mini dump. If you wish, you can send event notifications by email. So let's say that something happens to this specific computer. What you can do is you can say, ESET, please send me an email when this computer gets a really bad virus, and ESET could do that for you. Idle state detection, that's fine. These are just user interface options. I recommend password protecting your settings. I'm not going to do that on camera though. Scan first. Okay, yes. So that's about it. There's some tools in here that you can use. For network activity, I really like it. So I have seen situations in which the amount of received and the amount of sent data is absolutely pinned at the top, and that shows that you are possibly being used as a botnet. So you definitely want to try to remove any malicious code that you have on your PC at that point. Alright, you have log files here for many different things. You have a network connections list. Alright guys, I think that is good. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.